They discuss a variety of topics. When we get to about the 15-minute mark, they begin to discuss what is believed to be the incident at Spark Street.
All right. Starting here at about 19 minutes, you're saying 15 minutes would be a better place to start?
I'm not sure of the exact timestamp.
Okay, well, we'll just start here at 19 minutes into the call and 55 seconds.
I will maybe go in reverse order while it's fresh. Sure. I want to talk about this slide that you put together that's titled Ali Lee Caldwell. This one, or if you have the same copies.
I don't have a copy in front of me.
And I don't have the PowerPoint yet, so I'm sorry, but you're familiar with it.
Yes.
I can actually hand you my copy of that brochure.
Yes.
So we get that.
Sure.
Sure. What in those photos did you say indicated to you that Mr. Caldwell was an OMF gang member?
Well, these photos just demonstrate that you can see his relationship with the high-ranking members of the gang, including Lance Royster and Keontae Sanders. And you'll also see Trevante Turner featured in several of these photos, who's also a higher-ranking member of the gang. But the social media photos
I'm just going to recess in place there.
For that.
Okay. You said that when Mr. Sprinkle asked you, you said he was in the photos with some high-ranking members.
Correct.
Right? And you said that you were not aware of any gang tattoos on him.
I have not reviewed his tattoos yet.
Okay. To show you're not aware of any gang tattoos
Correct.
that he has. And you said there were, quote, no other factors to conclude that he's in a gang aside from what you heard on the wiretap and in those photos. Is that correct?
Right, with the leader of the gang confirming that he's a member of the gang, that's one of our factors that we use through our criteria.
And who's we? AD?
The Atlanta Police Department, yes.
Okay. And are there statutory provisions that say somebody's in a gang, or you guys just get to decide that?
No, there's statutory provisions, 3 or more, organization, association, or group associated, in fact, whether formal or informal, with common identifiers, signs, symbols, graffiti, tattoos, things of that nature.
Okay. And you would agree with me, no tattoos that you've
That I've seen, yes.
Nothing in there for graffiti,
No,
right? He's not flagging or making any kind of hand signs.
no.
And you said previously no other factors but for that association and the wiretap conversation.
And our association, or his association with other members of OMF. Not everybody can take pictures like these. And like I said, there was an instance where him and Mr. Sanders had to confront a member of the gang for conduct unbecoming to the gang, and they were the two that did it.
Okay, but you're making distinctions between associates and members. You said that Mr. Caldwell is a member, but you have no evidence of membership that you've testified about today.
The evidence of membership that we use as our SOP for our criteria, and this is he's a member of OMF based on the gang's own leader referring to him and saying, Lee is fam, Lee is a member, Lee is one of us, you're not going to touch him.
So if he's on wiretap saying, don't touch Mr. Sevitz, he's one of us, I am a gang member, I have no say in that. Somebody else gets to label me.
But he also had that conversation, the preceding conversation with Mr. Caldwell, and then the fact that he's in these photos with high-ranking members of the gang, cumulatively, that lets us know he's a member of the gang.
Okay. I've been photographed with Chief Justice John Roberts. Am I a member of the Supreme Court?
Is the Supreme Court a gang?
Well, they're affiliated, in fact. There's 3 or more members, and if any of them commits a crime, you would say they're in a gang, right?
If they commit criminal street gang activity.
Okay, which is any number of any crimes involving a firearm or anything in the racketeering statute.
I have no knowledge that
Including
that's
carrying a
wrong.
concealed weapon, right?
But is that going on right now? I'm not investigating the Supreme Court. I can't speak to that.
I'm just asking you.
If the Supreme Court was out shooting children at 1043 Spark Street, and you would be an associate of them, yeah.
My question is about, is this person a member of a gang? And you said, because he's photographed with these people, you have no other evidence that he's a member of this gang except that he's with high-ranking associates, right?
No, I didn't say that's the only thing. Out of the gang leader's mouth.
Okay.
He has been
Somebody
identified.
called him fam.
He's
Okay.
one of us, and they say on 10, they say whoa, they use
Who's
gang
they?
identifiers.
Who's they?
The other members of the gang.
Okay, so other people can decide your membership. You don't get to say that.
Mr. Caldwell does not disagree with that.
Well, I've heard no testimony about his position on that today, but I'm asking you what evidence you have.
Like I said, again, the leader of the gang, this gang is very active in disciplining people that will claim the gang that are not members. So if the leader of the gang identifies you as a member of OMF, you're a member.
And in fact, the person you're claiming as leader of OMF didn't say Ollie Caldwell is a member of the gang. You have a recording where he calls him fam, right?
Correct.
And so you're making the conclusion that fam or family is tied to the gang and not a friendly or familial relationship.
I'd ask you to let me finish. If you listen during my expert qualification with the Goodfellas, they refer to themselves as La Familia or La Cosa Nostra. So when they say fam, that means one of them. They refer to themselves as a family more so than a gang.
That is your conclusion.
That's documented. That's not my conclusion. That's historically documented through gang profiles, interviews, the profile in the gang itself. That's not my conclusion. That's historical.
So anytime somebody says fam, they're talking about La Familia, OMF, La whatever gang.
We don't just use one identifier. We use a cluster of identifiers. So Mr. Caldwell, based on who he hangs out with, what the leaders have said, his relationship to the conflict that's ongoing right now, and other factors, based in the totality, yes.
Okay. Back to my original question. I realize all the conclusions that you've drawn. I understand them. I have them written down. What evidence do you have? We've agreed that he's not making any signs in these pictures, correct?
Correct.
We've agreed that he's not flagging in these pictures, correct?
Correct.
He's not doing graffiti in these pictures, correct?
Correct.
In your initial testimony, you said that OMF gang does fraud. He's not doing fraud, right?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far because in his phone extraction, I saw a little bit of fraud.
Okay. And you would agree with me that that fraud, whatever you saw, that we've not heard any testimony about that today.
All right, I wasn't asked about the fraud, right? But
Okay.
also,
And we've not heard anything about drug trafficking, which you said is another hallmark of OMF.
there is a lot of drug trafficking in his cell phone.
My question is, you've not testified about any drug trafficking on behalf of Mr. Caldwell in this hearing for the last 3 days we've had testimony,
Because
right?
we're testifying about the murder, but one other criteria by the statute is common activities and customs. So he's falling into that with who he hangs out with, where he hangs out, some of the things that they do, activities that he participates in, whether it be the drugs. He's
I think
being asked to send drugs to Mr. Sanders down at the prison, so he's participating in their activities as well.
I think the disconnect that we're having is you keep drawing conclusions, and I'm asking you what evidence. So I understand your conclusion. What evidence do you have?
I'm
All
providing
right,
evidence.
this has been asked and answered like 18 times, okay?
What is the evidence then?
What she said is social media photos, information on the wiretaps, association and discussions with the leader of the gang. Now, whether or not I think that's enough is something I'll decide when I review all the evidence, but you keep asking her the same exact thing over and over and over again. She is an expert witness in this case. She's supposed to draw a conclusion. She was qualified as an expert. That's the whole point of an investigation, is you stack up evidence and then at the end you make a conclusion. That's the entire point of being an investigator. So please ask her a different question.
I will, Judge, but I'm going to just get ahead of this and let you know we're going to have the same problems because I agree with you. Take evidence, then you form conclusions. I'm familiar with Ms. Vivirito, and I contend that her habit is to form conclusions without the evidence. So that's why I'm trying to drill down to how do we get the conclusion? Because she just said there's nothing in these social media photos except standing next to a person.
Well, I'd object to that statement just made by the defense counsel. Now defense counsel is becoming a character witness of investigator Vivirito, stating that he has some sort
Right,
of
and
personal...
that you can absolutely argue all that in your closing, Mr. Tevis, but we have a long way to go, and you're asking the exact same question over and over. I get it. You don't like her conclusion. I get it. You disagree with her conclusion. Make that argument for me at the appropriate time, but don't ask the exact same question 18 different times in a row.
I want to talk about your expertise for a moment. I believe at the beginning of this hearing, you said that, was it OMF numbers in the hundreds, or was it Goodfellas at numbers in the hundreds?
Goodfellas.
And how many members would you say Goodfellas has?
And it's hard to tell. I mean, not everybody's going to admit to you I'm not in the prison system. I can tell you based on the wiretap, they have taken over both the prison system and the Fulton County Jail.
Okay, so in your expertise, how many members would you say that they have?
Hundreds.
Okay, how many is hundreds? 100? 200?
I'd say at least 2 to 3.
2 or 3? Are you familiar with an APD gang investigator named Miko Flores?
I am.
And would you, if he were to testify that there were thousands of them, would you disagree with that in your expertise?
I can't comment on his knowledge of what he's investigated. I know what I've investigated and what I'm comfortable saying is the number. I know we have numerous members documented through APD, but based on the wire, Goodfellas has consumed, from what we heard at Hancock State Prison, far-reaching throughout not just the state system, the Fulton County Jail, outside on the street. So it's blown up. I'm comfortable with saying hundreds. Investigator Flores may have something that says different.
You work at APD?
I do.
Flores works at APD.
He does.
You guys have the same gang database?
We do.
Okay. The incident that we're talking about here today, my understanding is you and the state contend that this was retribution for the death of Trevante Turner.
Correct.
Is that correct? And you've testified that Trevante Turner was a member of 9-Tray and now OMF.
Around 2020 is when he started claiming OMF.
Okay. And you also testified in what is commonly known as the YSL trial.
Correct.
And you are aware of the PowerPoint for Operation Planters that the DA's office put up that you testified about?
No, I had nothing to do with Operation Planners.
Okay. You're aware of the slides and the connections that Trevante Turner was claimed to have had in that trial?
Again, I had no, I didn't even live in the state when that was going on.
Did you know anything about Trevante Turner, aka Threat?
I know he had a relationship with Kenneth Copeland.
Okay. And in that case, it was claimed that Threat was not 9-Tray or OMF or 4PF, but was YSL and 30D, correct?
I don't know about that investigation.
Okay. Are you a gang expert in your own words?
Okay, I'm going to stop this train wreck right now. Asking her if she knows what happened in a whole different trial in which none of these fellows were directly involved is completely irrelevant and improper.
Judge, she's been qualified as an expert.
Okay.
5001, 25 PI 002240, 25 PI 001500, and 25 PI 000367. Mr. Tevis is present with his client, Mr. Ali Caldwell. Ms. Stewart is present with Mr. Mobley, her client. Mr. Vegas is present with okay, and I've been unable to join, but I don't have any objection to her client sitting in just to listen. Does anybody object to her client sitting here, although his lawyer comes up?
I've never encountered this before. Just a lawyer waived her presence.
She is still in that jury trial from last week. And I've never come across it either, which is why I'm sort of looking for input. Yeah, by all means, it's your point.
Having a similar situation doing with the
Yeah.
You don't give him legal advice, but to deal with that.
And I have an objection to me letting him stay here. Okay, and Mr. Prickle, I will hear from you, sir.
I don't know that it's an issue. It's just that he is represented by counsel, and
Right.
this is I guess we're not eliciting information or communicating with
Correct.
him outside the presence of his counsel.
Correct. Yeah, I just want him to be able to hear, but he'll be able to talk to her later on, I'm sure, after hours. And he can fill her in with his take on what happened and what came up or didn't come up. So, just in an effort to make sure he's fully involved, since we have him here, I'm just going to keep him out here in the courtroom. And of course, nobody will give him legal advice, ask any questions to him, or do anything pertaining to that. So, legal pad for each of you. So that is Mr. Collins, or no, you're Mr. Collins. Who's Collins? You're Mr. Collins. Nicole is your lawyer, right? Okay. We've got everybody else then. It's just guess. Oh, okay. I was like, we're missing one. I see too many defendants and not enough attorneys. Okay, so we have to wait for this guest to come in. Mr. Sprinkle, while we're waiting on that, did you finish your direct examination?
I did not.
Okay. All right, so we'll pick up from there when this guest is with us.
Before I do, investigator Vivirito is asked that
Martha Vivirito, M-A-R, S-A-V-I-D-E-R.
Now, investigator Vivirito, where we left off, you said you started your investigation into this matter following June 29th, 2024 murder of the client.
On July 1st at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, and the homicide occurred what?
Oh, on Park Street,
The homicide of Juan 3 minutes ago, David?
occurred around 12:30.
All right, so this is 5 hours after, 10 hours after that.
Correct.
Okay. And so as you continue to go through Mr. Sanders' Instagram pages, you found this right here. What's this right?
A message with Demonte Thomas, who is his son, Fred Thomas, saying, call me ASAP.
And what was the time that this message was sent?
Would be 8:49 p.m. Eastern time.
And your according to the sent time, it says 49 minutes past midnight on July 2nd. You're saying that 49 hours that?
The Instagram turns and you wrote the time.
So the right time?
Yeah, you wrote the time, but we subtract 4 hours from the time.
Okay, so okay, so in Eastern daylight, it's 8:49 p.m. on July.
Correct.
And Mr. Sanders sent this, Mr. DeMonte Thomas message and said, call me.
Yeah, because previously, a few slides ahead, Mr. Thomas had reached out following the death of Mr. Turner, saying he would handle whatever Mr. Sanders needed while he was under.
Is this where you're referring to? And what, and where was this obtained?
From Mr. Sanders' distribution.
Ordered up to be Mr. Sprinkle could refer at least to the slide. I don't know if we're going to get these, but we're going to have no idea in the transcript of the first.
Yes, sir.
That'd be great, thank you.
From your PowerPoint, investigator Vivirito, this is slide 8. What is, where you said you obtained this from Mr. Sanders' Instagram?
Yeah, previously.
Okay. And who was Mr. Sanders and who was Mr. DeMonte Thomas in this conversation?
Mr. Devontae Thomas is again.
Okay. And so it appears that at 2:59 p.m. on the 29th, Mr. Thomas sends him a message that says, you know, I'm going to take on everything I can while you were in there. We're going to be out there with me in a minute. What was the significance of that?
The message was sent a few hours following the death of Mr. Turner.
All right, and the message immediately preceding that sent by Mr. Sanders, what's that number?
That was the number for Mr. Sanders.
Now, as you moved on to your investigation, now we're moving on to slide 15. What is depicted here in version 1?
That is a call log. That features call log, that was one person who was taken into custody.
Okay. So where did you obtain this log from? And what's the phone?
Okay, search one for we went back to one for search one for pregnant, goes to our digital forensic lab, and they do a forensic extraction.
Okay, so, and in the forensic extraction data is extracted from the phone of the program that you're able to do the data in?
Correct.
And this is a screenshot of that?
Correct.
All right, and these are, you said a log of FaceTime calls that you found on the phone?
It's his call log, but around this time period, you can see that the majority of the phone calls are made through video calling.
And how do you know that?
I will see like the little video icon next to the call.
Okay, and when you say the little video, you're talking about the, this column right here shows the cameras?
Correct.
Little camera?
Correct.
Okay, what was significant about this?
In my experience with this gang and other gangs, typically when crime would be discussed, it would appear that they need the subject of the wiretap or to get around that, they will use video calling.
And you have here that there's a number for a A2G 447064774. Now these names here, Fiance Standards of Dante comes through and written here in fuchsia, blue, and blue. Were these actually unknown?
They were not.
All right, so did you add those?
I did.
And you also added this note here that the murder takes place at 12:33 hours? Okay, and why did you add that?
Just to kind of give some context to the time frame of the video call.
And so these video calls show that Mr. Cole in communication with Fiance Sanders and Dante's is shown here in the law.
Correct.
Okay, and then here on slide 16 is this looks like another portion of the cell phone extraction. What are we looking at here?
This is the other, the extraction of the other device that Mr. Caldwell was in possession of on August 28th.
Okay, and what are these also just logs of FaceTime calls?
Yes, again, this was a call on from the unknown.
And what was significant about that?
Again, you can see video calling, you can do that with penetrate on call.
And this was within hours of the month.
Yes.
All right, now, slide 17, I believe we looked at, we discussed already here, you're correct. What, played this already. Who posted this to Instagram right here?
Mr. Reginald Thomas,
Okay, and what time did Mr. Reginald Thomas post it?
approximately 12:14 a.m.
On what day was that posted?
July 2nd.
Okay, and this slide right here, what is this, showing right here?
This would be the cell health animation that was generated by one of our intelligence analysts showing Mr. Hollis's cellular device traveling to and from the crime scene. It arrived in the area around the time that the vehicle was seen on camera, circling the apartment complex and disconnects from the tower as the 911 call started regarding the
Moving on. Slide 19, what does this slide show and how do you want?
This was a direct message, or here's a direct message from Mr. Sanders' Instagram account that I came.
Okay, and what was who were the parties to this conversation right here, and what was the significance?
Mr. Sanders and Mr. Reginald Thomas. The significance would be if you subtract 4 hours of universal time zone adjustment, you'll see that the messages take place at about 1:37 a.m. As we spoke of before, Mr. Sanders goes from enraged to calm mode. He says, "I love you, my brother." They say they love each other. And then Mr. Sanders says, "We really been."
Okay, what does that mean in your experience?
In my experience, is that you're practicing something.
Okay. And that's of course, so that would be at 1:59 a.m. on this time?
Correct.
About an hour and a half.
Correct.
Okay. All right, what's the balance of the messages here that were exchanged between two?
It's just Mr. Thomas, like, I think there was a bit of an issue with Mr. Turner's family. I don't know if the family maybe a little upset with Mr. Thomas.
Okay.
Mr. Sanders saying he'll handle it.
All right, now who are participants in this message, direct message that you obtained, who are they?
This is Richard Hollis. We're sending a message at 2:15 a.m. to Mr. Thomas asking for his phone number.
2:15 a.m. on that.
July
And what was the significance of this?
2nd. Correlation in time to murder was being maybe a little less than 2 hours. And the fact that Mr. Hollis was, on being from his phone. And him reaching out to Mr. Thomas in the middle of the night.
And here, this looked like it's from the same program that you used when you depicted Mr. Caldwell's call. What are we looking at here? Where did you find this?
This was a forensic extraction from Mr. Reginald Thomas' phone. When I did a query for the number for Mr. Hollis, I could see that it was entered in the phone some form or fashion on May 8th of 2024.
Okay. So you found that Mr. Hollis' phone number is Mr. Thomas'.
Correct. On May 8th, so we had some type of communication.
All right, slide 22. This, this looks to be another text message. Where did you find that?
I believe I got this from Mr. Caldwell's friend phone extraction, and this came through the Telegram messaging program.
What's that?
Typically would be an encrypted messaging program, that from my experience, especially this investigation, when people don't want their conversation intercepted, they will, people got a wiretap, but they would take it to Telegram, give them move the conversation to Telegram.
Is it possible to obtain records directly from Telegram?
It's difficult. I never know.
But if you can obtain Telegram records, apparently from which they receive.
Yes, they were pulled from the phone as part of forensic extraction.
So, just to quick, who are the participants in this Telegram text message exchange?
Mr. Sanders will be in blue, Mr. Caldwell will be in red.
I mean, what's the significance of this text message?
You can see right around the time, that the murder, prior to the murder, Mr. Sanders did word J Shot, or the name J Shot. He reaches out to Mr. Caldwell almost immediately, and then Mr. Caldwell has him FaceTime me. Mr. Sanders says, okay, and then the conversation picks back up at about 3:45 a.m.
What day?
July.
So, a couple hours after the murder.
Correct.
And when the conversation picks back up, what are they talking about?
Mr. Sanders sends Mr. Caldwell a photo and says, this is one of them. And I recognize the photo to be the gentleman named Elijah Keaton. And Mr. Caldwell.
Who's Elijah?
He is a member of 4PF, again, close with gang leader Dominic Jones, and also close with John Smith, J Shot.
Okay. So it's been like a change regarding J to John Smith.
Correct.
So what did you do with this information?
I began to research Elijah Keaton a little bit. I noticed that he too was often featured as quarantine on his social media accounts. And then I found a phone number to our analyst that's associated with Mr. Keaton's driver's license. We put that in Cellhawk, which is our phone software that helps process phone records. And what we could see was that Mr. Keaton was present in the tower that services the crime scene at 12:15 a.m.
Right, and slide 24 is that when you say you put it in Cellhawk, you queried the number of Cellhawk, this is what you saw.
Correct.
Right, you saw the number associated with Mr. Payton appeared in this particular record. What did that say?
That his device was in the area that the same tower that serves the temporary departure, consistent with the messages about things that he was out.
Right, so potentially means that Elijah Payton was at the crime scene.
Correct.
Was he at a relative?
He's unable to be located at this time.
All right, slide 23. Who's depicted here?
That's Elijah Payton, the gang leader, Dominic Jones, a historical photo that's taken at the crime scene, and then Elijah Payton's driver's license.
All right, and the two men, okay, so is that Dominic Jones there on the left?
He'll be on the right, and then Mr. Payton is on the left in the tie picture.
Oh, right.
And that's what we're going to do.
Okay. All right, now, if you continue your investigation, here we are on slide 25. What were we?
I can see that when from the vehicle that located and identified that leaving consistent, that LPR or license plate reader is consistent with the route we take back, leaving the candlelight vigil, the rental car that Mr. Trayon Crawford was in possession of that night, hit an LPR, I believe it was MLK Junior Drive eastbound at Hamilton Homes, and then 5 minutes later, you'll see the white Nissan Maxima into the outside, hit that thing.
And slide 26 is another license plate reader image that who obtained this image?
I haven't seen the block, yeah,
And why? What was the significance of this?
just to get a clearer picture of the vehicle.
All right, the timestamp at the bottom of this image is July 1st, 2024 at 18 or 6:13 p.m. and 38 seconds Eastern Daylight Time.
Correct.
All right, and where was this camera mounted photograph?
Leonard Road, that's
And here on slide 28, there's another image, another LPR license plate here, camera image that depicts looks to be a black Dodge Challenger or Charger. What was the significance of that?
So when I started researching the vehicle on slide 27, there was a police report at South Fulton, where the vehicle had been stolen from an apartment complex. I learned that California tag did not belong on the vehicle, and it had
Which vehicle are you referring to?
did not belong on the White House.
Okay.
I learned that tag was stolen on June 30th from 3804 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive by a black Dodge Challenger bearing the Ohio tag you see on slide 28.
Okay. And what was the significance of that?
I was familiar with the location. Mr. Reginald Thomas was, during the course of this investigation, I branched off into a pretty large scale narcotics investigation. And there were two locations that Mr. Thomas was operating. Where this tag was stolen from was across the street from what they referred to as the bottom location.
So the tag that was affixed to one of the vehicles associated with the homicide, stolen from a location near where Mr. Reginald Thomas is.
Correct.
Okay. Slide 29. This is supposed to be a screenshot. What's the significance?
That's the location that Mr. Thomas was operating on the location at. I saw on Instagram, we also visited the location and see him out there. There was an Instagram where associates, there was an incident where associates of his attempted a ATM smash and grab, and they dumped that vehicle at 3804 Hamilton. So we were familiar with the relationship between the two spots.
And slide 30, looks like more intel these gathered related to vehicles, this time from a flat camera photograph which was taken on July 17, 2024 at 12:23 p.m. and 43 seconds. What's this right here?
So this is, you can see that the tab that was on the Dodge Challenger that was used to steal the California tag is now affixed to a black Nissan Maxima. And that was recovered as stolen at 2190 Virginia Street.
And what's the significance of 2190?
2190 Virginia Street is where I know Ali Paul was frequent. He's there daily, and that's where we locked him up on August 28th.
So the tag that was formerly affixed to the black Dodge Challenger, which was used to steal the tag, which would end up affixed on the murder vehicle, was then later recovered to yet another vehicle on or around July 17th.
This is when it's being privately towed from the tow yard. It was recovered on July 12th, 10 days after the murder.
Right, where was this vehicle?
2190 Virginia Street.
Okay. And that would be where it's called.
Correct.
And how do you know that?
I've seen him up there on multiple occasions. That we arrested him there. In his phone extraction, I saw that he had two power bills, one for apartment 1 and one for apartment 13 at the location in his phone extraction.
All right, slide 32. What are we seeing here?
So this is another flyer or demonstrative that's generated from the South program that our analysts made for us. As you can see, this is showing that with both of Mr. Caldwell's cellular devices, his number one tower that he utilizes with the phone is the tower that serves the 2190 Virginia Street.
All right, and here are these slide 33.
Is this just body cam footage that depicts the sites of the vehicle or the incidents where the vehicles were recovered?
31 depicts the Maxima being recovered at 2190 Verbena, and 33 will depict an Infiniti Q50 that investigator Hulse had identified as traveling with both the white and gray Nissan Maximas.
And it too was recovered at 2190 Verbena?
Yes, it was initially recovered at 2190 Verbena. The video you're looking at now is when it was brought across the street to the shopping center so it could be loaded onto the tow truck.
Oh, okay. Now, slide 34, where did you find these images?
I got these images from Mr. Caldwell's Instagram records.
And what do they depict?
They are pictures from the scene of a little baby video shooting that happened on May 14th that we referenced earlier when I was on direct. He's taking pictures at the crime scene and sending them to somebody.
Okay, and on what day were these pictures taken, if you were able to tell?
I can't tell when they were taken, but I know they were sent the day after, or it would be late, in the late hours of the 14th, so a few hours after the actual incident happened on the 14th.
And these were pictures that were actually photographed by Mr. Caldwell, or were they just in his phone?
They're sent from his Instagram to other people, but that's consistent with where we'd see Mr. Caldwell usually.
Okay. Now, slide 35, what is this?
This is a photo from body cam where the gray Nissan Maxima that was involved in the incident was eventually recovered at 175 Ridge Avenue.
And how was this Maxima involved in the incident?
This is one of the vehicles that's at Spark Street.
So one of the two vehicles that traveled there?
Correct.
All right, please continue.
And you can see there's distinct damage to the roof of the vehicle on the slide, and it was recovered. A homeowner or construction workers came to a vacant home and found it parked in the driveway. It was stolen from the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport.
And was there anything significant about the recovery of the vehicle or the location where it was recovered?
It was in close proximity to areas that Tradon and Marcus Crawford are known to frequent.
Okay. So at this point, the vehicles, you were at this point able to associate the two vehicles that were utilized in the homicide with locations frequented by the defendant?
I don't know. Investigator Hulse had associated the Infiniti with the white Nissan Maxima and the gray one. The gray one was recovered at Ridge Avenue, and the white one was recovered elsewhere.
Okay. And this, did you make this right here?
I did.
And why did you make this, and how does it aid in your testimony?
To
You're
show-
on slide 36.
To show the proximity of where the vehicle was recovered to the residence of record for both Tradon Crawford and Marcus Crawford, and a home previously historically associated with at least Tradon on Ridge Avenue.
And it says, let's see, 0.45 miles, gray Nissan recovery is from the current residence of record for Tradon Crawford and Marcus Crawford, and you put that distance in there?
I did.
Okay. And as far as you know, that's accurate, 0.45 miles?
As far as I know, yes.
All right. All right, and here on slide 39, where did you find this Instagram image right here?
If you go back up to 38, it comes from a Crime Stoppers tip that was received on July 6th.
All right, and what was the nature of that Crime Stoppers tip?
It was a tip that we received that was consistent with all the information we were gathering and looking through that that the shooting at the video shoot is what kicked off a series of violent events, and that the gentlemen were looking for J-Shot when they traveled out to 1043 Spark Street, and that's what led to the shooting at the apartment complex.
Okay, so while you were looking over all this social media and that you've testified about so far, you testified previously earlier during your direct that you obtained a wiretap.
I did.
So, and that was on July 10th?
I did.
Okay. And so about 8 days after the murder is when you obtained the wiretap?
Correct, but I think you may have skipped slide 37.
That's okay. A NIBIN lead notification. What is this? What did this? And how did this inform your investigation?
Our crime lab conducted NIBIN testing on the shell casings at the location of the homicide. One shell casing at the scene came back to a aggravated assault from February of 2023, where a gentleman was shot in the face on Bankhead Highway. And when I began to look into that case and read the investigator's case notes, one of the suspects that was named in that case, the Instagram page that was provided was I'm Just Lee, which I know is to be the Instagram account associated with Ali Caldwell.
Okay. Now, was Mr. Caldwell ever charged with this incident?
He was not. I believe the investigator inactivated the case due to the victim not being responsive.
What personal knowledge was there that Mr. Caldwell was involved in this prior incident of any kind?
I guess the victim's aunt had, the victim was incapacitated due to his injuries, and the victim's aunt had said that he had been either attacked or pistol whipped the day before and was having issues, and they provided the Instagram account belonging to Ali Caldwell to the investigators and said this was a suspect, and the the investigator noted that the pictures on the Instagram account matched the description of the passenger that fired the shots from the back seat.
Okay. So he was deemed a person of interest based on the prior difficulties between the victim and Mr. Caldwell in that case?
Correct.
Okay. So you started the wiretap on July 10th, 2024.
Correct.
And you started providing us with an oral summary of some of the calls that you obtained or listened to during that wiretap. How long did that wiretap last?
The wiretap on Mr. Sanders lasted from July 10th, 2024 to January 1st, 2025. So approximately 6 months.
And did you wiretap anybody else during your investigation apart from just Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
And who was that?
A gentleman named Altavius Jackson. He goes by the moniker Hot.
All right. And did you provide me with those wiretap calls prior to the hearing today?
I did.
All right. The selection of the wiretap calls. Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor?
Granted.
Now, Detective, I'm about to hand you a DVD that's been marked for purposes of identification as States Exhibit H. Please examine that DVD disc. Do you recognize it?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
This should be the disc that all of the relevant wiretap calls were downloaded to.
Okay. So not the full contents of the months-long wiretap investigation, but the calls that you deemed were the most relevant for today's purposes.
Correct.
And are the calls that are written to this disc, the sound files, are they exact digital copies of the sound files that were recorded during the wiretap investigation?
Yes.
So they haven't been altered or manipulated in any way?
No.
All right, this time the state moves to the admission of Exhibit H.
Mr. Tevez.
No objection for the purpose of this hearing.
Ms. Guest.
No objection for the purpose of this hearing.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Stewart.
Yes, Your Honor, just under the foundation, Your Honor, this witness hasn't laid out how she recognizes this, we just have to lay that foundation.
All right, just go ahead, find out, ask her the question.
All right. You said you recognized the disc labeled Exhibit H. How did you recognize it?
You presented it to me in preparation for, and I was able to review it in preparation for this hearing.
All right, so did you review the contents of the disc?
Yes.
And are the contents of the disc, are they what you said they were?
Yes.
And they haven't been altered?
No.
Okay.
Foundation.
All right, then it will be admitted without objection. Thank you.
Okay, Investigator Vivirito, so permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes, granted.
All right. Now, Investigator Vivirito, if we can start with call 817. What can you tell us about that call?
Call 817 is one of the calls we caught earlier in the investigation or intercepted, during which it's a pretty lengthy call. It's between Mr. Sanders and really become wire target number 2, Mr. Jackson. 15-minute mark, they begin to discuss what is believed to be the incident at Spark Street.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Know who with.
Starting here at about 19 minutes, you're saying 15 minutes would be a better place to start?
I'm not sure I have the exact timestamp.
Okay, well, we'll just start here at 19 minutes into the call and 55 seconds. If you could, first of all, tell us who the parties are to the call.
Keontae Sanders and Altavius Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when they took a lot of shit. They took a lot of shit along with that. You know what I'm saying?
Who's the gentleman that was speaking right there?
Right there, that's going to be Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
So I don't really know how it is then with it. Come on, man, go on out here, bro. When we got out there, he's supposed to know that though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, but we gonna keep our ear open and then we gonna keep our ear open and then we gonna network within the city. You know what I'm saying? So you can't call yourself a big dog, bro. You can't call it if you don't know a nigga from every side. Where we go? Right. They gonna be something I don't give a fuck what hood we gonna chill up, be a nigga, be like, hey, look what? Oh shit, I know 8, so I know 9. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like that shit, like, bro, a nigga let that shit get too out of hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Like, yo, we did because the first time a nigga, nigga see the 22 towards our way, we gonna react like a nigga shot that nigga on the second toward our right. So you let that shit go on for time, so it would happen. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a nigga talking to what was that? There was the first time that shit happened. Y'all niggas pull shit everything down and reacted and let niggas know how they do it. You can't do what's gonna happen. Right. But then if a nigga just, if you sit back and clan down if I was bullied, that's what happened, bro. Yeah. Okay. Like, hell no, so that how we get that shit. Like, bro, I ain't heard about that shit because I just won't get back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you don't want these prisoners that need to get back, but they don't know what they doing. Yeah, nah, cuz. Damn, you ain't call. You got the iPhone gone, you say them. Huh? You lost your iPhone then. Yeah. Yeah, damn. But, yeah, I know you already heard that dumbass shit. Yeah. No, I ain't like that. But get what though, that'll be worth for nigga time though. That work for nigga time. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. I would have loved that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm gonna make this shit spit out. I'm gonna make this shit spit out and then what's $100 bill. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, hey, but get what, bro? But you know, it take pressure, bro. Like, not. I'm talking about on the return time. Yeah. Shit. But you know how this shit go, though. Yeah. I like it. Bro, you know, bro. Anybody, hey, look, I ain't going with no nigga doing that now, bro. You see on down here, these niggas did that shit like murder. I'm down here trying to get these niggas stepped on, you know?
All right. So, what did we hear during that call?
Objection, the evidence speaks for itself.
How did that call, if I may respond, Your Honor, I can rephrase the question. What did you do after hearing that call?
We transcribed it and noted it. That was one of the calls that led to the wiretap for Mr. Jackson.
Okay, because he was one of the parties to the call.
Correct.
All right, now you next, there was a call 2357 that you listened to that was intercepted during the wiretap?
Correct.
What was the date and time of that phone call?
It should be, I have slides that I created. You have to.
All right, well, let's do this then.
I want to say, I believe July 17th, but I don't want to misspeak. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Now, so July
17, 2024, who are the parties to this? Is Mr. Sanders, Black Party, and an identified gentleman that goes by the name of, we can refer to the phone.
Object to the slide, and if they're not playing call, send a call, but for confusion and verification is not needed.
I think you should just identify who is on the call, on that overall. Go ahead.
Come on, where you going in the wall? And you can't eat.
We just heard somebody saying he's going to take his time. These people, we know what's going on. First of all, who's that said that?
Yeah, identified now.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sam.
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what take it tomorrow?
Private information.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean on some of the technical stuff?
Like a bathroom.
Okay. To have an arrested?
Okay.
And who were they referring to?
They were saying that we had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on his head.
Dominic Jones.
See, like, they talk about it like, look, come to all the time. Be like, it's chill. Like, we I'm gonna show you how to go that shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all do just keep it first on. Nah, we got that shit serious, you know what I'm saying? Then, I'm gonna get his attention, right? Like, bring me that shit, next time you get his attention, yeah, you got to do something to get his attention, right? Yeah, tell him
calls that you referred to in the fire, that what was he referring to?
He was referring to the violence that taking place back and forth between the two sides.
This is on the record, we just get that. Yes. All right, moving on to 12 minutes and 38 or 37 seconds in the call, 23:57.
Yeah, I'm going to say something like that. What was it? Or we can pick something up and see what going.
Who just said that about the two little boys in the city?
Call for
Is that wrong?
See that we hear you say it. What? You know, you sure you know how to. Well, you know, this shit go around. That shit weird. They're not so they're not doing that. Yeah.
Was that the extent of the relevant portion? Yes. And you next identified call 3999. What was the date on this call?
July 29th.
With the time stamp or the title of the actual sound file. Yeah, just have to be the date of the call. So you don't call the parties to the call.
I believe it was another unknown identifier. They were identifying Mr. Sanders.
Okay. Go ahead and play that call starting at 5 minutes and 27 seconds. Sorry. Who's up with made a remark about trying to spend?
Mr. Sanders said that Lee calls him every day saying he's trying to spend,
Wait, who's that?
I would call
Objection and speculation. If I may ask for the comment and clarify.
All right, just hang on a minute. Rephrase and then see what you have to.
Were you, during your investigation, did you ever determine or identify anyone that went by the moniker Wade?
Yes.
And who was that?
Mr. Early call.
Did you find anybody else?
No.
It's an associate of the people that were involved in the song. And how did you determine that Mr. Caldwell?
I've known him for a long time, but during the course of this investigation, we'll later let's do a call where Mr. Sanders calls and tells him that he hear people were trying to do things to leave. And that's referenced after he's going to make a call to handle it, calls the person and tells them you're not going to touch the leave. That's how he was referred to.
So you actually heard a conversation between the two men where Mr. Allie Caldwell was referenced by.
Mr. Sanders referenced other people's name, leave in reference to.
So it's a call that we did, the portion of which we just listened to, 3999. Mr. Sanders said that he spoke to Lee every day and he was trying to spin. What does that mean, spin, trying to spin?
No, it's involved by his gang for
There's no doing the foundation, this is a gang term. I mean, what we're getting is we're getting a slide with the state and the witness that clearly got together to talk about what she's going to testify to. And everything we've heard so far is speculation. They want to play the calls. We can continue this 21 times to listen to the calls. But she can't get up here and say what these people are talking about. And this person we means this person who's saying. That is speculation. There's nothing to do with the gang expertise. For your honor, I did take a call. We heard that spend that nothing to do with that.
Well, I'm a gang expert. You can say if she thinks that's the term used by the gang. She's already said she believes that you're lying on the call. So I'm going to allow her to answer the question.
All right, go on. Let's get with the real. What does crime spend?
She physically, say, on a bit on any or shoot a location from this.
Hello. Yeah, well, who is it? I'm the able. Well, no deal. Yeah, I just brought right?
I got something that thinks like just to the record. The gentleman that said, you know who this is, right? Who's that?
Yeah, why did it? Oh, look, yeah, somebody they need me, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it's only the radio. They came out. Sure. Oh, yes, they came out. Yeah, no, I mean, you know, only when you come out there, that yeah, well, I'm doing that thing. I said, you did this. People level, you don't know what you did. Yeah, don't get on that, and they say, here's that. I know. Yeah, well, I mean, who said it though? Yeah, I don't know, but shit, still supposed to be, he did the crazy shit, but because you got not to kill the whole type shit.
And who's that? The end of the call, so I'm going to explain. And what was the why? But what did you hear them say immediately before they said they didn't want And there's also a reference during that call to Sanders said dead Dan. Correct. That was Sanders who said that? Correct. What did that?
To stop planning on this call.
And this is what Sanders was telling AJ?
Correct.
And were you able to, as a gang expert, to listening to that call, the contextual details of why to determine who AJ may have been and who would have been able to satisfy that, Mr. Sanders?
Based on the context of the call and the terms that were used during the call, and a younger member of the gang.
And what gang of that?
Oh, and for us, pretty much.
Okay. Right along here, each, and this is, again, subject. So she.
Crazy boy, what?
Going back to the subset of the portion of social media you obtained your application around slide 50. Where did you obtain this from?
This is from the call of phone.
Okay. And what are we looking for? What is this?
Oh, after Mr. Sanders, time to call and the record.
if you look at the slide 49 prior to this, you can see there's a series of phone calls that happened between Mr. Primrose, Mr. Sanders, and Mr. Crayon Crawford, video call, take place. But ultimately, Mr. Caldwell had likely coded a message, Mr. Primrose, and was sent the message in question about the document.
Okay, so those wiretap calls, 4292, 4293, that we just listened to, they concern the group chat with the LaShawn Primrose. And we looked at Mr. Caldwell's phone, we found a bunch of calls that included the various parties with whom Mr. Caldwell was speaking, including the LaShawn Primrose. And these were then, were they starting just after midnight, 2024, like 2024?
No, this has been, there was a call prior to this, but this is adjusted for UTC.
Okay. So, August 3rd, 4:12 a.m. UTC time, that'd be about 12 minutes after midnight, Eastern time?
No, very good adjusted.
Is that what UTC plus 0 means in parentheses?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so anyway, you have this volume of phone calls, right, that you extracted from Mr. Caldwell's phone, and then you already told us here on $50 of this. What was this?
This was what he was sent by the information that the Primrose had received, that was sent to, Mr. Caldwell, the Mr. Trayvon Crawford, also named, and the call I believe was a 2-hour FaceTime call happened between him and Mr. Caldwell. I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford.
And that's here, I'm sorry, that's free. Thank you. And then, again, you're on site, you added these names, right on the wall. You added. And third from the bottom, there's a FaceTime call, and it's 2 hours, 20 minutes long, 22 seconds, that's the call you're referring to. Right, and these, you're on the left one, you go to slide 50, and the left hand slide, there's a text message, or the text message conversation, it says Q9. What was that called?
How Mr. Primrose was contacted, saying that Mr. Sanders served the nephew, that you might be.
Okay. All right, so if you continue with the wiretap investigation, you then accepted all 45, 47. And what was the date of that call? If you had a copy of your PowerPoint presentation, would it refresh your memory? I got something, just for the record, the gentleman that said, you know who this is, right? Who said this?
Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, well, look, And I don't know the shit. Little folks, he did this crazy shit, but the country I'm not gonna tell him all that shit.
And who was that? The other boss that I'm gonna raise time. And what was the why? But what did you hear them say immediately before they said they didn't want And there's also a reference during that call, Mr. Sanders said dead that. Correct. That was Sanders who said that? Correct. What is that? To stop planning harm, Mr. Cole. And this is what Sanders is telling AJ? Correct. And were you able to, as a gang expert, listening to that call, the contextual details of why determine who AJ may have been, and you would have been able to satisfying that, Mr. Sanders?
Based on the context of the call, some of the terms that were used during the call, and as a younger member of the gang.
And what came about it?
All of it for freedom.
Okay, now, right along here, and this is, again, subject, so thank you. Great, smart. Going back to the subset, the portion of social media you obtained your application around slide 50. Where did you obtain this from?
This is from the call of phone.
Okay, and what are we looking for? What is this?
So after Mr. Sanders, time to call and the record. If you look at the slide 49 prior to this, you can see there's a series of phone calls that happened between Mr. Primrose, Mr. Sanders, and Mr. Crayon Crawford, video call take place. But ultimately, the call had like the coordinated message, Mr. Primrose, and was sent the message in question about the talking about.
Okay, so those wiretap calls, 4292 and 4293, that we just listened to, they concern the group chat with LaShawn Primrose. And when you looked at Mr. Caldwell's phone, you found a bunch of calls that included the various parties with whom Mr. Caldwell was speaking, including LaShawn Primrose. And these were then, were they starting just after midnight, 2024, or 2024?
No, this has been, there was a call prior to this, but this is adjusted for UTC.
Okay. So, August 3rd at 4:12 a.m. UTC time, that'd be about 12 minutes after midnight Eastern time.
No, very good.
Is that what UTC plus 0 means in parentheses?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So anyway, you have this line of phone calls, right, that you extracted from Mr. Caldwell's phone, and then you already told us here on 50 you also found this. What was this?
This was what he was sent by the information that the criminals had received, that was sent to, Mr. Caldwell, the Mr. Trayvon Crawford, ultimately, and the call I was made on the 2-hour FaceTime call happened between him and Mr. Caldwell. I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford.
And that's here, I'm sorry, that's free. Thank you. And then again, you're on site, you added these names, straight on the wall. You come from the 2 hours. And third from the bottom, there's a FaceTime call. And it's 2 hours, 20 minutes long, 22 seconds. That's the call you're referring to. Right, and these here on the left, I'm going to go to slide 50 and the left hand slide, there's a text message. This portion of the text message conversation, it says Q9. What was that called?
How Mr. Criminal was contacted the stage, Mr. Sanders took his nephew, that you might be
Okay. All right, so if you continue with the wiretap investigation, you then accepted all 45, 47. And what was the date of that call? If you had a copy of your PowerPoint presentation, would it refresh your memory? 489, all right. Okay, and who are the parties to this?
Mr. Sanders and ex-wife Alicia.
And we'll be starting this call in about 13 minutes and 15 seconds into the conversation. So right on, who is that speaking?
Mr. Sanders.
That was pretty good. Here. Here. Here.
I now got that mention of tearing Oakland City apart. Mr. Sanders said that?
It was,
And where is Oakland City?
office in Lower Atlanta. The company was all inside the cities, Lee Street. Okay, Lee Street. Between Donnelly. And White Oak Street.
So 1043.
Near the west end.
So 1043 Park Street would fall in Oakland City.
Yeah.
Mention of being ready to get active, you know what that means?
Be ready to get
Mr. Sanders? Mr. Sanders, it's supposed to be done. Who's he? Objection calls for
If she has personal knowledge, she has to be talking about all of this. Basic personal knowledge.
Is it based on your personal knowledge? You know, you know, who were you referring to and said they're supposed to be nine?
Based on the prior contact with Dr. Pablo.
No. The verbal conversation, is that provided in the context?
Yeah, the record members will be.
I mean, they're supposed to be done. So if you continue with your wiretap investigation, you intercepted call 4814.
Correct.
And what day was that call?
August 15th, 2024.
And who were the parties in that call?
County Sanders and his girlfriend, Alicia Siegel.
If I'm not back to this and probably the next several things, all in relevance grounds, I realize that standard may be part of an indictment, not part of this hearing. We're talking about that more than a month after the incident that we heard about. We just have to see. Either side is in some way or we want we're doing it for. Well, it's a gang case, Your Honor. All of the defendants in charge of the letting of gang charges, and this goes to the motive. And also, it proves, it is one of the many things that prove the existence of the gang. So, that is all. We'll see if the gang exists.
Okay. Is there anything specific? Are any of these defendants talked about or named in this particular call?
No.
I can sustain the record that every time you can renew with each one comes up. But I think we are, if anybody's saying everything again at this point. And I think we have developed the nexus thus far, but it's got to be working to the folks who are with it.
All right, so, let's try to focus on investigator Vivirito on all of this concern the defendants. Did you, intercept the call about 7165?
I did.
And did that call concerning the defendants that before us today?
They concern Ali Palva and Trayvon.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and play that. I'm starting that call at 1:13.
Mr. Reginald Thomas, who also goes there, young, Lee, being Ali Palva, there's a huge professional relationship with people, and then later on in the call, says that basically the only people that the female just for these, she was a one for both, that she gets questions from Carolina, that's what that handles business.
That being the
Correct.
Now, regarding Mr. John Smith, Jay Sean,
These are from the disappearing message between Marquez Smith and Mark, Beyonce Sanders, he was 5 down there. Did you have any other communication? Again,
Yeah. The one, the other one, the wire department too, and then the came on board.
all right, so wire coverage and receiving activities.
Correct.
And what day was that call?
September 10th, 2024.
That call was only 17 seconds long.
Yeah, so I'm thinking,
So in that call, there was, who was the gentleman that was speaking about? Who were the two parts?
Amy Jackson and Andre Gordon.
Okay. You said, I just saw Jay Shaw on the street.
Andre Gordon was waiting for Mr. Jackson outside in the auto here, and Jackson didn't decide dropping his
All right, now, so as you continue your investigation, you continue to identify the phones of the parties. This one right here, on slide 57, this was Richard Hollis' phone. And that was sent in a direct message by Mr. Hollis to DeMonte Thomas.
Correct.
All right. And that was on July 15, 2024.
Correct.
All right. And here, whose phone number was this?
Mark Comfort.
All right. And so whose Instagram account is depicted in this slide number 58?
Mr. Marcus Property. Providing his phone number to Mr. Sanders.
And I'm gonna object again, this is all cumulative, we have all these phone numbers tied up with the FBI analysts.
Well, yeah, that's true, Your Honor. I'm familiar with that, but the FBI analyst, his identification of the numbers was conclusory. He said, my understanding is this number was. But there was really there was no basis for how he did that. He was just told that. So this is this briefly establishing how the numbers were.
I'm going to let you go ahead, though, and if you please keep it very narrow on that.
Yes, sir. All right, so, now investigator Vivirito, it's come to obtain warrants for the elect of the parties. And just so we're clear, it was investigator Pulse that obtained warrants against Mr. Hollis and Mr. Moe, is that correct? So you obtained warrants against Ali Caldwell, Crawford, Reginald Thomas, Marcus Crawford, and then Mr. Sanders and Lance Shaker. Or not those. With Hannah. Okay, on what date did you do that?
Initially, obtained conspiracy for warrant on December 28th, and then murder warrant obtained on January.
And so you obtained warrants again for everybody, so that's on within that same narrow period of time.
Correct.
And you at some point before all that happened, you interviewed Mr. Ali Caldwell.
Yes, during his arrest.
All right, but that was not one.
No.
All right, and what anything did you
Beavers of being harmed and help them anyway, or do anything that information.
Did you actually believe that he was at risk of being harmed?
Based on the mark,
And was that the 4292, 4293 law?
and there were other.
All right. And what did he have a reaction being told that?
He started
He started.
laughing at one point, and he didn't say what it was.
Well, further to our policy, would have already known about it. Was he a party to one of them?
Correct.
And did he have any insight regarding the homicide in 43 Park Street? Would that be enough for you to cover the two phones?
Yeah.
The ones that we looked at, sort of strong area?
Correct.
Right. And then on January 15, 2025, what happened on that during the future investigation?
During that day, a landlord from featured unit attempted to take Ali Caldwell and Farron Crawford into custody at two separate locations, based on Caldwell's and information from the legal chain.
What were they actually arrested on that?
They were
So what happened?
first location for Mr. Farron Crawford, his cell phone located at the residence, and he was not there. And when we executed a search warrant for the location for Mr. Ali Caldwell, the apartment of Ms. Isis Buffington, his phone was plugged in on the camera, and he was not there.
And we say, should we do that alcohol?
Correct.
How do you know that it was his phone?
It was the same phone number that we had records for and had communication with.
All right, so you seized the phone.
We did.
Okay. And were you able to tell by reviewing the records how long the phone had been? When it arrived at the
I did not believe that, but if you did, we're going to do over. But I could tell you after receiving social media records from both Mr. Crocker and Mr. Caldwell, they had abandoned their phone numbers that they originally had. That was only shortly after the one for the game.
So their phones were in one place and they weren't.
Correct.
January 15, 2025, Mr. Marcus Crawford was arrested. He testified that right?
Correct.
During the earlier part of the direct examination, he also spoke about his interviews.
Correct.
All right, what if anything, there was a particular activity was found in there?
I would say that I think the year the first one at his home, the day after his arrest, where we recovered 3 rifle magazines, 2 of which were empty, 1 was still loaded with ammunition.
Yeah, what kind of ammunition was that?
3 tipped rifle ammunition, bearing most notably the head span LC-13 on one of them round.
Permission to question what was your own?
Granted,
Now, let's give a brief. I'm going to hand you a photo to the market purposes of identification. Speaking to it. You recognize that photo?
I
And how do you?
that's the photo that I took of one of the boats that were loaded into the rifle magazine.
And you photographed where you took this? All right, so is this photograph an exact digital copy, or not digital, an exact tangible copy of the photo that you took of the bullet that was recovered in the magazine that was recovered at the site of Mr. Morris' arrest?
Yeah.
This photograph hasn't been altered or manipulated, but this time it's getting used to no objection.
All right, Ms. Gaddis?
No
No objection. Okay,
No objection.
thank you.
No objection.
All right, submitted that. Thank you.
All right, and for permission to publish the photo.
Granted.
All right, so investigator Vivirito, here's the photo that you took. Now, what if anything was significant about this particular ranch?
That round or shell casing, a similar type thing with LC-13, was located at the scene of the Sparks murders.
So, fake casings that were ejected after the projectile was fired from same were found at the scene of the murder.
A LC-13 casing.
And do you know what those, that alphanumeric combination stamped on the back of the Y round means?
The LC can relate to the brand ammunition, and the 13 stands for 2013, which was the year that the ammunition would have been manufactured.
Okay, and that LP13 was printed on the back of the showcase without the scene.
Well,
Right now, on February 25th, 2025, there was an arrest made on that day. And it was, what was the circumstances?
After they were in the phone number,
Saw this portion right here. Now, this right here, this third page of Exhibit J, what is this right here? What was, how was the embedding, this embedding involved in the homicide?
I believe investigator felt that for portion of the investigation, but from my understanding of it, she has been traveling with the white and red uniform.
Right now, you also obtained warrant against the defendant for, among other charges, possession of a firearm by convicted felon.
Yes.
And what, among the defendants that you obtained warrant for, I'm not sure if that alcohol, what was that alcohol substance? Yes, it was.
Mr. Caldwell was convicted of entering auto under docket number 19 SC 171770 on October 31st, 2019 in 2010 Superior Court.
You also charged or simultaneously one against Mr. Caldwell for a property, I believe others for the offense of conspiracy to commit murder in July 1st.
Correct.
And why did you obtain those?
Based on the communication I received and totality of evidence that we have obtained and reviewed during the investigation, including wiretap, cell phone extraction, social media.
There's object of relevance, she's on, there are warrants and reason why. Well, that's the entire point of the preliminary hearing. Preliminary hearing is for you to determine how, not the reason. We're just going to solely on the witness's testimony and exhibits presented.
Yeah. She got paid probably about someone who took it to a judge and judge agreed.
Right, but saying the reasoning now is just gonna waste my time.
Unless we are looking at specific events, like who's actually by convicted felon. I get that. So where are you trying to go with it?
I was just asking her why she didn't want to conspiracy.
Okay, it actually you already answered that. You said basically how we get evidence and testimony to be.
Yes.
Yeah, the cell phone extraction, all the data. Good on that, it's scanned, yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna. I want to name all the defendants for which you charged murder, felony murder, etc. You also charged them under the act?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you come to the conclusion that the defendants were members of, what material did you consult?
There's a variety of factors to review, whether it's self-admission, or other people giving information to people members of the gang that are reliable informants.
And did you?
And if you're not, we can't identify you as a member of the gang, if you can demonstrate how far a membership or a close relationship with members of the gang will be labeled as associate appropriately as an associate. And for each defendant, I collected a different pieces of evidence to show either the relationship with the gang, the self-admission in the gang, or identify the gang.
And you obtained information from social media that informed you in that regard?
Social media, phone extraction, wire calls. These areas we have our disposal for identification.
And did you provide me with the excerpts from social media that were instructive as to whether or not they were affiliated with the gang or instructive regarding the gang, what affiliation to the environment?
Yes.
Commissioner, now, thank you, Vivirito. I am about to give you a multi-page document that's been marked for purposes of identification. You recognize that? And how did
These are some of the physical
exhibit what are they?
relationship or either membership or for the.
And, what are these, like, what do they?
For visual pictures, social media, it could be photo, it could be conversation.
So this, I go to the social media term.
Yeah.
Okay, so they could be photos and video, or perhaps like written transcripts. And are these images that are included within base exhibit care, an exact visual copy of copies of social media contained during investigation? Could they have been altered or manipulated in any way?
No.
At this time, the state use the emission exhibit K.
Mr. Heather, that's okay? Ms. Guess.
No objection for the purpose of the hearing, Your Honor, but we would ask that we are able to specify the actual date that he's in this information was contained in the.
I'm just gonna recess in place then.